Hi, I'm Phil and I'm on a grey gap year, and Happy New Year and welcome to 2024. I waited until January the 1st to record this so I could genuinely say that, and in the spirit of New Year's videos, I'm going to talk about some of my best trips so far, and then I'm going to reveal some plans for 2024 and explain how you can play your part in those future plans. So if sending me to the destination of your choice sounds like fun, make sure you keep on watching. And I've also been asked about this piece of art in the background, and I promised I'd talk about it the next time I filmed in the lounge, so I'll tell you all about the painting of the Vikings in the background too. So my highlights today, well, I've picked out a few highlights and each one has its own reason for making the list. And my first highlight is from my very first video, and it is my very first ever flight in business class. Now, admittedly, this was a British Airways Club Europe flight, so it's very much European short haul, you know, an economy plus rather than business sort of flight, but it does hold some very dear memories to me. It was a great flight, and although I don't need the tier points anymore, I do still find myself continually drawn to European business class. It is a constant battle of my head over my heart. Number two was the trip at the end of that first business class flight, which was in Sicily, and it was exciting and terrifying in equal measure. I've said before that the thought of being a solo traveller, well, it just terrified me, but I also know that, you know, we pass this way but once, and if I want to fulfil my dreams of travel, then, you know, I just have to get on with it. Once we'd landed, I had a longish walk to a well-hidden car hire office, an hour wait for my hire car, and then a sphincter clenching drive across town to my hotel. And although I spent a large part of that trip in a state of constant anxiety, I did conquer a number of fears on that trip. And also I visited the Roman Villa, I visited Taormina, Ortigia, the Valley of the Temples. It's a beautifully rugged island and an amazing place to visit. And I have looked at a return trip in July for tier points, but the prices have just rocketed since my last visit. Another highlight was another first, and that was flying in a Qantas long-haul business seat. An excellent flight which was only from Melbourne to Perth, and the upgrade cost was only 350 Australian dollars, which was under £200 at the time. Now, it was my first time in a grown-up business class with a 3-course meal on a 5-hour flight. It was a special experience for sure. I was flying to Perth for another of my passions, which is watching cricket, but I also enjoyed a couple of days in the city. I went down to Fremantle, I visited the old convict prison, and I had a day at Rottnest Island with possibly the cutest animals in the world, which are called quokkas. I also went through the first wing in Heathrow Terminal 5 for the first time in 2023. Now, if you're not familiar with this, then it's British Airways first class check-in area and lounge, and it also has its own dedicated security lane. It's available to BA Gold and One World Emerald passengers as well as BA's first class passengers. And although the lounge isn't like other first class lounges around the world, it is very business class. Well, the first wing does feel really exclusive. And using the first wing is a key difference between BA Silver and Gold status. It's not a reason by itself to go the extra mile for Gold, but it is one of the nicer perks you get as a Gold status holder. My number one highlight is one I haven't actually made a video on yet, and that was a bucket list trip to Barbados. I flew first class with British Airways to this island paradise. It was my first time flying in first class and my first time in the Caribbean. The flight was superb with a fabulous cabin crew, and the video of this flight is imminent, so if you'd like to know when it's released, make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell and get a notification. On the island, I enjoyed some great food down at Oistins. I walked some amazing beaches and I swam with fishes and turtles. A quick shout out to a guy called Mike who I met there, who helped me find the turtles off Pebble Beach. I would not have had the confidence to swim out that far without your help, so thanks mate, and I do hope we get to do that again someday. And in other news, I've also taken my first business class flights with Qatar, so that's coming up too. So those are some of my grey gap year highlights so far, with a sneak peek to some upcoming videos. But what's next? Well, as I record this on January the 1st, 2024, I have no booked trips. Nothing, none, nada, zilch, zero. And this is where you come in. I'd love to find out what you'd like to see next. So if you've got a cool idea for a grey gap year 2024 trip, please leave me a comment. And if some other people have commented and you see something that you like, give it a thumbs up or give that comment a reply so I can see the most popular ideas. So do you have a trip that you've taken that you think I should take? You know, you think I'll like that? Or is there somewhere you'd like me to go and check out so I can report back? Is there somewhere you want to go but haven't quite plucked up the courage? Let me know in the comment section below. I'll endeavour to pick some of the suggestions and make videos on them. I just hope I don't end up in a boat face situation. And if you don't know what that is, I'll put a link in the comments. So that's the upcoming trips covered. I don't have any yet, but what about the videos I want to make for the channel in 2024? Well, I'd like your help with that too. Although I've started to sort of find my feet with making videos, I feel the channel strayed away from its original path, or more accurately, the purpose I had in mind when I started the channel. I always intended to make videos that would make your travel that bit easier, a sort of helpful hints videos, like the Sicily one and the Bucharest one that were sort of towards the start. And then I made a video about gold status with BA, and it was a popular video. It had more views and more subscribers than any of my other videos. And I do think that's when I moved away from those sort of destination videos, those helpful travel planning videos that I was always hoping to make. And I moved towards point, status and flights videos that I've sort of published since then. And I'm sort of wondering if I should try and get back to my original idea. But I'm not making videos for me. And there's nothing more boring than being dragged into your neighbour's house and being forced to sit through their holiday slides. So I'd like to know what you want to see in 2024. I'm thinking about making helpful videos about food in Barbados or the hidden gems of the Great Ocean Road. Is that something you'd enjoy? Also, the Royal Yacht Britannia in Edinburgh is another hidden gem. It's a great day, but nobody seems to know it's there. So are those ideas the YouTube equivalent of your boring colleague forcing you to swipe through holiday snaps? Or are these things you'd really like to watch? Some feedback from you on this would be really helpful. Please put your suggestions in the comments, because without you, well, there is no channel. And so before I go and start looking for flights for that tier point run, I must tell you about this piece of art in the background. It's an unsigned piece of art that I bought in Fremantle, which is near Perth in Western Australia. I was visiting Fremantle Prison, and it was part of an exhibition by West Australian prisoners. And the prisoners, or the artist's desire for anonymity, is the reason that the piece remains unsigned. The artist has used this discarded box as their canvas, and I like this. It gives it sort of a found art sort of feel, and it allows it to stand freely, so it doesn't have to be installed on a wall and then viewed as 2 dimensions. And it also means that this piece literally has 2 sides to it. The subject is what I think is quite a playful take on the first Viking attacks on Britain at Lindisfarne. And with this bold stenciled lettering, I don't know if the artist used a stencil because they wanted this rigid set of stenciled lettering, or if they were simply unable to create the lettering style they wanted freehand. But regardless of the motivation, I think the lettering, I think it gives it like this military feel for what is essentially a painting of an attack on Britain. I could keep talking about this piece, and I do actually get a lot of joy from having it in my lounge and just looking at it. But the piece has no real monetary value apart from the enjoyment that it brings me. It didn't cost me very much to buy, but the price that I paid did go directly to the artist, so it will hopefully make their time in prison a little more comfortable. It isn't the only piece I bought at the exhibition, but perhaps I've been talking about my art in a travel video for quite long enough. So before I go and make a cup of tea, I'll just say to you, please subscribe, leave me a comment, and thank you for watching and joining me on my grey gap year.